Welcome back to Steffi Fan's channel. Today, we will learn about the explosive confrontation brewing between the Logan sisters that threatens to tear their family apart forever. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Tuesday, December 30th promise unprecedented drama as Katie Logan Spencer refuses to back down from her controversial decision, leaving Brooke Logan Forrester absolutely stunned and furious beyond measure. The Logan name battle intensifies. The fashion world of Los Angeles is about to witness one of the most contentious family feuds in recent memory. Katie Logan Spencer has made a bold and irreversible decision that has sent shockwaves through both the Logan and Forrester families. When she dramatically unveiled Logan as the official name for her new independent fashion house, the reaction in the room was nothing short of explosive. Brooke Logan Forrester and her husband Ridge Forrester stood frozen in complete disbelief, unable to process what they had just heard. The tension in that moment was so thick you could cut it with a knife, and it marked the beginning of what promises to be an all-out war between the sisters. Katie attempted to rationally explain her strategic thought process behind choosing the Logan name for her venture. She laid out her business reasoning, her connection to the family legacy, and her vision for what this new fashion house could represent. However, her explanations fell on completely deaf ears. Ridge and Brooke made their position abundantly clear, with no room for misinterpretation. They were categorically and unequivocally against this idea from every possible angle. The conversation quickly devolved from a business discussion into a heated family argument that exposed decades of underlying resentment and competition. Brooke, exercising what she believed was her authority as the elder sister and more prominent Logan in the fashion industry, attempted to outright forbid Katie from proceeding with her plans. She tried pulling rank, invoking family loyalty, and even threatening consequences if Katie didn't immediately abandon this venture. But Katie Logan Spencer is no longer the meek younger sister who simply follows orders and accepts whatever scraps are thrown her way. On Monday's explosive episode, Katie will stand her ground with unprecedented firmness and conviction, refusing to be bullied or manipulated into submission. Katie's defiant justification. B&B spoilers reveal that Katie will double down hard on her decision to use the Logan name, and her arguments will be surprisingly compelling and difficult to refute. She'll point out the undeniable fact that Logan is her surname, just as much as it is Brooke's, perhaps even more so, considering she's never hyphenated it or tried to distance herself from it. Katie will make the cutting observation that Brooke has become far more associated with the Forrester name throughout her career and multiple marriages to Ridge. The public, the fashion industry, and even the media predominantly know Brooke as Brooke Forrester rather than Brooke Logan at this point in her life. Katie will drive her point home by noting that if the fashion house were called Logan Forrester Creations, that would be an entirely different conversation requiring collaboration and permission. But that's simply not the case here. This is purely Logan, a name that belongs to her bloodline, her heritage, and her identity. She'll argue that she's not stealing anything from Brooke or appropriating something that doesn't belong to her. She's simply claiming what has always been rightfully hers by birth. The historical connection between the Logan name and the fashion industry will become a major point of contention. Ridge Forrester, always the strategic thinker when it comes to protecting his family's business interests, will attempt to invoke trademark law. He'll remind everyone that Logan was intrinsically tied to the legendary Belief formula, the groundbreaking product that once revolutionized the industry and made the Logan name synonymous with innovation and success in the beauty world. Ridge will suggest that Forrester Creations still holds some claim to the trademark based on that historical connection. This legal maneuvering will trigger significant drama during the week of December 29th through January 2nd. The bombshell revelation that everyone will discover is that the trademark has actually expired. Whether through oversight, intentional abandonment, or simply the passage of time, the legal protection that once covered the Logan name in fashion contexts is no longer valid or enforceable. This discovery will completely change the playing field and give Katie even more ammunition for her argument that she has every right to use her own family name however she sees fit. Personal attacks and family wounds. The argument between Katie and Brooke will deteriorate from business disagreements into deeply personal attacks that cut to the core of their sisterly relationship. Katie, feeling cornered and defensive, will take pointed jabs at Brooke over something that's always bothered her. Brooke's complete absorption into the Forrester identity. She'll mockingly reference how Brooke has latched onto the pet name Logan that Ridge uses for her, as if she needs his validation to remember where she came from. Katie will suggest that Brooke only cares about the Logan name when it's convenient or when someone else might benefit from it. Katie will accuse Brooke of hypocrisy, pointing out that she's spent decades trying to be a Forrester in every way possible, through multiple marriages, business associations, and social connections. Now suddenly, when Katie wants to honor the Logan legacy through her own independent venture, Brooke is acting as if she's the sole guardian and protector of the family name. The accusations will be harsh, brutal, and designed to hit Brooke where it hurts most. Despite Katie's logical arguments and emotional appeals, Brooke will remain unmoved and vehemently opposed to this entire situation. She'll refuse to see Katie's perspective, insisting that this decision is wrong on every level morally, strategically, and personally. Brooke will make it her mission to prevent this fashion house from launching under the Logan name, threatening to take whatever measures necessary to protect what she views as her legacy and her rightful claim to the family name in the fashion industry. Dylan's dangerous obsession begins. While the Logan sisters wage their war, another storyline is developing that could have equally dramatic consequences. Dylan, the mysterious newcomer who's been struggling with homelessness and hiding her troubled past, will finally get settled into Will Spencer's guest house. The arrangement came about after Will discovered Dylan's living situation and realized she had nowhere safe to stay. With characteristic kindness and generosity, Will suggested that Dylan should spend the night rather than returning to whatever unstable situation she'd been enduring. After Dylan gets completely cleaned up following the chaotic beach house party, where secrets were nearly exposed and tensions ran high, she'll find herself staring out at Will from her guest house window. This seemingly innocent moment of gratitude could mark the beginning of something far more dangerous and complicated. There's a fine line between appreciation and obsession, and Dylan may be teetering on that edge without fully realizing it. The situation will become more complex when Dylan eventually confronts Electra Forrester, trying to figure out exactly how much Will knows about her carefully guarded secret. Dylan needs to understand whether her cover has been blown and whether Will might use this information against her somehow. Electra will reassure Dylan that Will's heart is genuinely in the right place. She'll explain that Will learn the truth, but chose compassion over judgment, secrecy over gossip. His intentions are pure, and he simply wants to help someone in need without expecting anything in return. Will himself will make his expectations crystal clear when he speaks with Dylan directly. He'll emphasize that he wants only her respect in exchange for his generosity and hospitality. There are no strings attached, no hidden agendas, and no expectations beyond basic human decency and mutual respect. Will may even suggest that Dylan should consider extending her stay indefinitely until she can find something more permanent and stable. He'll present this as a practical solution rather than charity, getting Dylan the space and time she needs to get back on her feet without pressure or judgment. Dylan will be genuinely touched by Will's extraordinary kindness and selflessness. In a world where she's experienced so much hardship, betrayal, and disappointment, his compassion will feel almost miraculous. However, this gratitude could easily transform into something unhealthy if Dylan isn't careful about maintaining appropriate boundaries. Her emotional vulnerability, combined with Will's genuine goodness, creates a potentially volatile situation where Dylan might begin projecting romantic feelings onto him or developing an unhealthy dependency. The bold and the beautiful spoilers indicate that alarming news and unexpected twists are always lurking just around the corner on this show. Fans should stay tuned for continuous updates on all the Dylan-related developments, the Will situation, and whether this act of kindness will ultimately lead to redemption or disaster. Similarly, the explosive Katie versus Brooke feud promises to deliver weeks of compelling drama that will reshape family dynamics and potentially destroy relationships that have survived decades of turmoil. Next, we will learn about the issues surrounding one of the bold and the beautiful's most controversial and beloved characters, Thomas Forrester, and the mysterious circumstances behind actor Matthew Atkinson's increasingly sporadic appearances on the daytime drama that has captivated millions of viewers worldwide. The dramatic shift in screen time. Matthew Atkinson, the talented performer who brought the complex and often troubling character of Thomas Forrester to life on CBS's long-running soap opera, has become a subject of intense speculation among the show's dedicated fanbase. What was once a prominent, scene-stealing role that commanded significant airtime and drove major storylines has seemingly transformed into something far more limited and peripheral. The transformation has been so dramatic that longtime viewers have begun questioning whether production had to actively persuade the actor to return for even his current limited appearances. The shift didn't happen overnight, but rather unfolded gradually over recent months, leaving fans scratching their heads and wondering what could have prompted such a significant change in the character's presence on screen. Thomas Forrester used to be the catalyst for some of the most explosive and talked about storylines in recent B&B history, stirring up trouble, manipulating situations, and creating the kind of dramatic tension that keeps soap opera audiences coming back day after day. From central character to peripheral player, there was a time, not so long ago in the soap opera timeline, when Thomas Forrester dominated multiple storylines simultaneously. He was the puppet master pulling strings, the romantic lead caught in passionate entanglements, and the troubled son seeking redemption while simultaneously sabotaging his own chances at happiness. His obsession with Hope Logan, his complicated relationship with his family, and his professional ambitions at Forrester Creations made him an indispensable part of the show's fabric. The character's evolution from antagonist to anti-hero, and occasionally to someone viewers could root for, represented some of Matthew Atkinson's finest work on the series. His ability to portray Thomas's psychological complexity, showing vulnerability beneath the manipulation and genuine love twisted by obsession, earned him recognition from both critics and fans. The chemistry he generated with his scene partners, particularly Annika Noel, who portrays Hope Logan, created some of the most electric moments in recent soap opera history. But somewhere along the way, something changed dramatically. The multi-dimensional character who once occupied center stage has been reduced to making brief appearances, primarily serving as a supporting player in other characters' stories rather than driving his own narrative arcs. His current storylines feel almost like afterthoughts compared to the meaty, substantial material he used to receive. The current state of Thomas's storylines. In his recent appearances, Thomas has been relegated to primary functions that seem almost mundane compared to his previous storylines. First, he's been positioned as someone trying to facilitate a reunion between his parents, Ridge and Taylor, a storyline that feels repetitive given how many times these two characters have reconciled and separated over the decades. While family dynamics have always been important in soap operas, using Thomas primarily as a cheerleader for his parents' relationship seems like an underutilization of both the character and the actor's talents. The second major role Thomas has been given involves helping Hope Logan revive her struggling fashion line, Hope for the Future. While this does allow for continued interaction between Thomas and Hope, it lacks the intensity and complexity of their previous entanglements. Instead of the passionate, complicated, and sometimes disturbing dynamic they once shared, Thomas has been transformed into a supportive colleague and friend. For some viewers, this represents welcome character growth and maturity. For others, it feels like the show has stripped away everything that made Thomas compelling in the first place. The fashion line storyline, while important for Hope's character development, doesn't give Thomas the kind of meaty material that allows Matthew Atkinson to showcase his range as an actor. There are no moral dilemmas, No internal conflicts tearing him apart. No schemes threatening to explode spectacularly. He's simply being helpful, which is nice, but doesn't exactly make for gripping television in the competitive world of daytime drama. Fan theories and speculation. The bold and the beautiful fan community, known for their passionate investment in the show and its characters, has developed numerous theories about why Matthew Atkinson's presence has diminished so significantly. Online forums, social media platforms, and fan sites have been buzzing with speculation, attempting to piece together the puzzle of Thomas Forrester's reduced role. One prevalent theory suggests that Matthew himself may have lost some of his enthusiasm for the role. Acting on a soap opera requires an intense commitment, with grueling schedules, rapid-fire dialogue, and emotionally demanding scenes that must be performed quickly and efficiently. After playing Thomas through some extremely dark and challenging storylines, including plots involving manipulation, obsession, and morally questionable behavior, it's possible that the actor felt ready for a change of pace or needed a break from the intensity. Another speculation circulating among fans centers on the creative direction of the show itself. Perhaps the writers and producers felt that Thomas's story had run its course, at least temporarily, and that the character needed time off-screen to make his eventual return more impactful. This strategy isn't uncommon in soap operas, where characters sometimes disappear for months or even years before making triumphant comebacks with fresh storylines. The Paris connection and remote work. According to recent storyline developments, Thomas has established himself in Paris, where he's living with his son Douglas while continuing his work for Forrester Creations remotely. This narrative choice provides a convenient explanation for his reduced on-screen presence while leaving the door open for occasional appearances. The character can now fly in when needed for specific plot points without requiring the actor to maintain a full-time presence in Los Angeles, where the show is filmed. This arrangement seems to benefit everyone involved on a practical level. Matthew Atkinson can pursue other opportunities, spend more time with his family, and maintain some distance from the demanding daily schedule of soap opera production. Meanwhile, the show retains the flexibility to bring Thomas back whenever a storyline calls for his involvement, without completely writing the character out of the show's universe. However, this setup also raises questions about Thomas's long-term future on The Bold and the Beautiful. Can a character who only appears sporadically maintain the kind of relevance and connection with the audience that makes for compelling television? Will casual viewers even remember who Thomas is if months pass between his appearances? These concerns have many dedicated fans worried about the character's trajectory. The love scene controversy. Perhaps one of the most intriguing pieces of speculation involves Matthew Atkinson's personal life and how it might be influencing his professional decisions. According to rumors circulating in fan communities, the actor's wife allegedly expressed concerns about the numerous intimate scenes he was required to film as part of his role, particularly following the birth of their son. While this information remains unverified and should be taken with appropriate skepticism, it has become a major talking point among viewers trying to understand the situation. If there's any truth to these rumors, it would certainly explain why Thomas's romantic storylines have been significantly toned down in recent appearances. The character who was once involved in passionate, often controversial romantic entanglements now seems to keep a respectful distance from such situations. While some might argue this represents character growth and maturity, others see it as evidence that behind-the-scenes factors may be influencing creative decisions. The nature of soap opera work does involve frequent romantic and intimate scenes, which can be challenging for actors in committed relationships. The emotional intensity required for these scenes, combined with the physical proximity and chemistry that must be conveyed, can create complicated dynamics. If Matthew Atkinson and his family have concerns about this aspect of his work, it would be entirely understandable and actually quite common in the industry. The Annika Noel factor. Multiple fans have pointed out that the chemistry between Matthew Atkinson and Annika Noel was truly exceptional, creating some of the most memorable moments in recent Bold and Beautiful history. Their portrayal of Thomas and Hope's complicated relationship generated enormous audience investment, with fans divided between those who wanted to see them together and those who were horrified by Thomas's manipulative behavior. Many viewers have expressed disappointment that this dynamic pairing seems to have been shelved, with one fan notably commenting that they considered Matthew and Annika to be the hottest couple on daytime television. The loss of this compelling on-screen partnership represents a significant shift in the show's romantic landscape, removing one of its most talked-about elements. The Hope and Thomas storyline had everything that makes soap operas addictive: forbidden attraction, family complications, moral ambiguity, and the constant question of whether someone who has done terrible things can truly change and deserve a second chance at love. Scaling back this relationship, regardless of the reasons, has left a noticeable gap in the show's storytelling, industry perspectives, and actor choices. From a broader industry perspective, actors choosing to step back from full-time soap opera work isn't unusual. The demands of daytime television production are extraordinary, with actors often memorizing pages of dialogue overnight, filming multiple episodes per week, and maintaining this pace for months or years without significant breaks. The burnout rate in soap operas is notably high, and many performers eventually seek opportunities that offer more flexibility or creative variety. Matthew Atkinson has demonstrated considerable talent throughout his tenure as Thomas Forrester, particularly in his ability to make a morally questionable character sympathetic and understandable despite his actions. This kind of skill could certainly translate to opportunities in primetime television, film, or other areas of entertainment that might offer different challenges and rewards. At the same time, soap operas provide steady employment, loyal fan bases, and the opportunity to truly develop a character over extended periods. Many actors find the format creatively fulfilling despite its challenges, appreciating the opportunity to tell long-form stories and build deep connections with their audience. What the future holds, as The Bold and the Beautiful continues to evolve its storytelling, the question of Thomas Forrester's role remains open-ended. Will Matthew Atkinson eventually return to a full-time capacity with renewed enthusiasm and fresh storylines? Will the character remain in this limbo state of occasional appearances? Or might we eventually see Thomas written out entirely, perhaps moving permanently to Paris or taking another path that removes him from the canvas? The show's producers have remained relatively quiet about their long-term plans for the character, neither confirming a permanent departure nor promising a full-time return. This ambiguity keeps fans guessing while maintaining maximum flexibility for future creative decisions. What seems certain is that Matthew Atkinson's portrayal of Thomas Forrester has left an indelible mark on The Bold and the Beautiful's history. Whether he appears once a month or multiple times per week, the character he created will remain a significant part of the show's legacy, representing a complex exploration of obsession, redemption, family loyalty, and the possibility of change.